to the Corki in particular, something that they really like to go for. That suggests that Checolad may just be defaulted back to Corki duty. Seeing this Swain locked in already, you can just easily match mid lane by game ward if you want. You can also take a jungler, which tends to be our first choice, or our first sort of role of choice that teams tend to go for. Ezreal also still open. We haven't particularly seen too much of it yet today, but it is a pick that teams also opt into in this sort of blind scenario.
Okay, I saw the Draven hover and I got a little concerned for a second. Probably just going to be the Corki. I think that makes a lot more sense. And the Swain first pick, to me, is very interesting because I don't think of Swain as the best blind because, yeah, the champion is very powerful right now, but it feels very counterable. So we'll see what Game Ward does to play around that. They do get Corki Yuumi. We're looking at scaling. We're looking at team fighting. I feel like that's about as good as it can get. So now Vitality B, they've got to find a way to sort of get on top of that. Amumu might be one way.
Yeah, I love this, right? You talk about the counter ability of Swain. The thing that counters Swain really badly is range. If you're able to stay out of his demonic ascension, you really have a tough time of things, making the most impact out of Swain. Corki, a really good answer. Yuumi, a really good answer to start off with. But I would have loved to see them opt into the Amumu, honestly. I'm not too sure of the pairing with the Twitch, but I can always imagine just the teamfight wombo that is going to come from this regardless. You have to match support here. You don't have to, but you have the choice to match support here. You know what matchup you're going to be going into. Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, really like the Amumu. Can't say that I don't. Really good just lock in for the bot lane. And now we get to see if Vitality B are going to match ADC. They've already got the Yuumi locked in. Ezreal, absolutely no surprise to join them on the cards.
Yeah, you're talking about staying at arm's length, and Ezreal's another champion that can do just that. But the 2v2 potential here on the bottom side just became explosive. Twitch renowned for its single target damage, Amumu renowned for its engage. We already have seen a crazy good Amumu game so far on the broadcast with Team Go's upset over LDLC, and it was a pretty instrumental part of that win, I think it's fair to say. So seeing that one return to the pick list is cool. The Ornn gonna be banned away from Selfmade, so no Ornn duty.
Let's look. I wanted to touch on this because if we look at the summoner spells, it's not something we tend to do in the draft. Skeens is the one with TP. Selfmade is the one with Smite. I'm just going to leave it at that because I don't want to dive too deep onto any of that until we get everything fleshed out and confirmed. But like you say, top lane answers taken away. They are getting rid of some tanks, suggesting they're going to be trying to, set up for a fairly farm-oriented matchup in that top lane. I'm not too sure where they're going with it. But Gragas off the board is something that we don't tend to see all that frequently, but it's something that, when you've got a jungler potentially playing in the top lane, getting rid of that flex pool champions that you may be more comfortable on, certainly worthwhile.
So, Rude Dude, hear me out. Sejuani top, it's been kind of creeping back into the meta. I'm not really sold on how good it is. Sejuani's historically a jungler. These two junglers could pick Sejuani top, safe blind pick, gives you engage for your Swain. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, you've sold me. You've sold me on that, honestly. That's a load of really good points that I don't have an answer to, so more than down for that. Game Ward locked in their jungler of choice. They have opted to go for the volley bear. So this team come thus far from Game Ward, largely scaling focused, sit back, play to those team fights. Now they've got a way to get to that point. They've got this volley bear to give them some pressure, some priority in the early stages. And I think that blind or taking this Renekton here is incredibly brazen when you see the volley bear. You see the two other lanes as well. Likelihood is with this Game Ward comp, they're going to be playing heavily toward that top lane. They've got a lot of control in the bot lanes without needing a jungler. You can quite easily fly up to that top lane and say, okay, well, all of a sudden, we're just going to play to top. Let's see what Malonic takes here, because he's up against a Renekton, a pick that we don't see very frequently, has not had a good time since the durability changes, and now Malonic gets his choice of counter pick.
Yeah, and playing Renekton into like Corki, Yuumi, Ezreal sounds awful. I'm actually really surprised by this pick. Not I think what we were both expecting. It's not the Sejuani, and that's the real issue I have with it. But oh, wait a minute, we got the Sejuani on the other side. Okay, well that's gonna be the top lane counter pick, so it's gonna be the tank matchup for Malonic up there for Game Ward. And I mean, this composition here for Game Ward looking pretty stock standard front to back, whereas Vitality B, and I mean, you told me this before coming in, Vitality B is a team, they like to just sort of try to skill check you a little bit, and it feels like this composition lends itself towards that.
Yeah, no surprises really that this is a fairly skill-centric composition. Viego Renekton as a topside 2 versus 2, something that is fairly scary. I think that you've got this Sejuani, which is maybe one of the best answers to deal with that. You've got Arctic Assault to get out to safety if you ever caught out. You've also got that Frost Armor so that you don't take too much damage off the bat. But we have got our predictions for this game as well. I think that we may well be both... Oh, well... I think if you think Solaria winning this one, then you're on some next level wave.
Yeah, I'm predicting for next week. I do think I picked Vitality B. I'll just tell you my prediction. That was before I heard about the substitution, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
How about after the draft? How about after the draft as well?
Yeah, after the draft, never mind. I picked Game Ward. So never mind. I forgot what I picked. I'm feeling good about it. I like this draft from Game Ward. I think it seems very simple to play, and I'm looking forward to this team to continue their winning ways.
Yeah, I am as well. We'll have to see if they can get a hold of those wins, though. We're going to hop into game for game number 4 just after this.
And we are on to the Rift here for game number 4 here on the LFL. Sorry about the video. Couple of little difficulties with that one behind the scenes. But what really matters is that we have the video of this game. Vitality B facing off against Game Ward and what should be a very competitive match at the top of the table.
Yeah, you can see 19 wins between these two teams. Our highest tally of the day thus far, I believe, even though, you know what, I may be lying. Not too sure about the LLC games.
That sounds about right to me.
Yeah, either way, a very scary set of matches to be, or a very scary match to be played. I think that for Vitality B here, obviously they're slightly lower in the standings, but this would be effectively doubling their deficit if they lost here, where winning just levels them up. So certainly coming into this one with a bit of something to prove. And obviously, the sort of elephant in the room, the crocodile in the top lane, Selfmade coming down from the LEC. Of course, if you're not familiar with Selfmade, first of all, why? Second of all, he's a jungler. So him playing top lane, certainly not the go-to role for Selfmade, but at the end of the day, coming in, supporting the team as necessary and filling in for an ill player, you kind of have to give him that little bit of slack and kind of carry on.
Are you telling me we can't just blame Selfmade for this loss, rude dude? I thought that was the plan.
No. But... we can blame Selfmade, but we can also we just have to acknowledge the fact that Selfmade probably also knows.
We have to blame Selfmade for the memes, right? That's what it always happens. Somehow everything that happens in Europe is Selfmade's fault, but maybe it'll be the win that's his fault because he's just gonna smurf it up here on the top side. Definitely got his work cut out for him though in this Sejuani matchup. Already laying down some of this early priority, and Melanic, just want to note, has that ignite. Sejuani top frequently goes flashless because of the short cooldown on the Q.
Yeah, and I'm quite happy for us to get a little bit of attention on this top side. We need to be careful that bot lane don't get too aggressive. Obviously, Amumu can go for engagements at level 1, but you know, if we keep our eyes on that top lane, it is absolutely no consequence to me to see the pure laning mechanics that Selfmade has got generated from the jungle.
Yeah. For sure. Another interesting thing is, hold that thought, that actually will be a hook landing onto Camilius. Ignite thrown down back onto Jack Troll. Trading back. Yeah, Jack Troll getting taken very low. Jeskla as well, and Noxa doing so much damage. Ends up arcane shifting in. But Jeskla, he's going to be fine, but that's a very favorable trade for this Ezreal Yuumi.
Yeah, really good. And they've got the sustain as well that comes with a Yuumi lane. You just get heals and heals and heals, so you'll be able to sustain in that laning phase indefinitely, even if the laner, you know, starts off going poorly to begin with. Okay, first Renekton trade, clean by Selfmade. That's what we needed to see.
Yeah. Oh, but he didn't crash the wave though. Less clean.
-1.
Maybe, yeah. It's a net neutral here for Selfmade, but you know, he's up 7 farm. That's pretty good. So, you know, we take those if we are the side of Vitality. Game Ward, though, leveraging this bot pressure to get this crab. No surprises here. Both junglers just gonna farm it up.
Yeah, I'm playing to their pseudo-strong sides at present. Both of the junglers skipping out on their Krugs, I believe, so potentially going to go back to base, take those. But it looks like we are seeing Akabane stay for the second spawn of the Raptors, actually just putting a little bit of a ward down to scout them out. But they are spotted. You know, when you put that Scryer's Bloom out, people see you on the minimap, they're going to go for the gank anyway.
Yeah, Jack Troll and Jeskla already so low, but Jack Troll, nice taxi
really nice.
to the bear. Both of them are going to be forced to flash, so it's still worth it for Games Ward, but they do manage to keep their lives.
Yeah, really good little execution. Well, by Vitality B to evade the gank after they probably shouldn't have got caught out regardless, but Akabane walks bot lane, gets 2 flashes for free, and now the Samumu Twitch bot lane. Really do have to be careful. If that Amumu goes forward, it's going to be a one-way trip for him. Needs to try and be very cognizant of those engagements that he takes for fear of going down afterwards. Now Game Ward have that advantage down in the bot lane. Let's see if they can leverage it into anything in particular, or if it is just going to be a simple cooldown that we don't particularly see get utilized.
Yeah, I mean, if those flashes going to be down at level 6 for the Volley Bear, that could definitely be a potential window of opportunity. Amumu Twitch, not renowned for their defensive capabilities, neither champion is, so potentially could be somewhere that we see some action. A Selfmade, he's lost his CS lead, he gets stunned up, -1 again.
And these points, by the way, are completely arbitrary. These are the Hawk and Rude scales of how well you're doing.
Absolutely. But Skeens now going to take his turn to hover down at the bottom side, as Noxa does need to be careful.
Potential
Has all summoner
TPs.
spells up, no summoner heal. Yeah, the TP comes in, and Noxa gets taken low, able to flash back under tower, but he actually gets taken down by that expunge. It's traded back 1-for-1. Chekalad now so low, out of mana, but the tower doing so much. Skeens able to clean it up. Akabane should be able to get 1 back, as Diplex able to flash to the blast cone. Really nicely done, and at the end of it all, it's 2 for 2, maybe no. It's just going to be that 2 for 2.
Okay, so a really good play, despite it being that 2 for 2, worth for Vitality B. Yes, their bot lane both die, but importantly, they get a load of experience from the kills, and they crash the massive wave under the turret. Chekolad TP down into the bot lane, also died. They'd end up getting a kill, but ultimately, like I say, very worthwhile for Diplexers. The Ignite in the top lane, second part of the W flashed away from by Selfmade. 6! Whoa! Melonic!
Melonic, so nicely played. Just hits the Glacial Prism right there. That tick to 6 was beautiful. Selfmade gets dropped up there. I think that's -10 on the arbitrary Hawk Rude Dude scoreboard. But yeah, I mean, Game Ward, they lose on the bottom side, but they win on top.
Okay, and Game Ward as well, one of the only teams that are playing this tank Sejuani in the top lane as well. I'll get back to that in a second, as we do see a replay of that dive. Jack Troll starts off the dive. They'll be more than happy to sacrifice their life if they get the kill on to the Ezreal. I want to credit Skeens here for some really good Viego mechanics. You know, hops into the Ezreal, immediately dishes out lethal damage, steals for a little bit of health back, and then flash Valks out to safety. Incredibly crispy dive underneath that bot side turret. And yes, Jeskla unfortunately falls. That flash could have been, if it was like a hair better, Akabane may have been able to close that gap onto Diplex. Unfortunately, Camillus didn't have the Prowling Projectile to slow up the Swain, and you know, Vitality V are able to limp back to their turret. But still, as mentioned, a very good play down on the bot side for Vitality B, and we see Diplex actually, with that Giant Spell in his inventory, likely going to be working straight towards that Rylai's Crystal Scepter.
Right. It is worth noting, though, that play was still a 2 for 2 on the bottom side. So even though Vitality B, they're able to kind of come out ahead on the pressure side of things, they do still go relatively even in the gold, which as Games Ward, you're not going to feel too terribly bad about. And Selfmade getting dropped up top as well. It's just a win. So Game Ward, they find themselves about 100 gold ahead. Nothing major at all. But where my eye is really drawn right now is towards this bottom lane. Jeskla may have gotten a kill and an assist on that dive, but only has 37 farm at 7.5 minutes, which admittedly a lot of attention has been paid, but it's definitely a difficult situation.
Yeah, certainly something that they need to try and keep on top of. Skeens here to try and help pressure Selfmade and make sure that this wave gets crashed. Okay, not going to be fully engaged. He's trying to bait it out, I suppose, right? If you go for the Glacial Prison right there, Melonic will be able to get ganked essentially by Skeens on the timing. A lot of control up on this top side right now for Vitality B. We'll see if they're able to translate this into that Rift Herald, something that they're going to be very happy to secure and potentially freeze up a bit of that top lane issue.
Yeah, and it is going to be Vitality B. They're just going to take this one away. No harm, no foul. So they're still able to find some of that topside pressure off of the bounce wave, which always feels good. So Selfmade still making his presence felt as Akabane, level 6. No engaging though. It was. I was there with you. Jack Troll was waddling his way past, and I'm like, are they gonna go? Are they gonna go? No.
On vision as well. So there was the world where they opt into that play, but Nevertheless, it is simply going to be simple ships passing in the night. One ship has got camo spotting technology, the other one is operating under the complete darkness. But without anything going too awry, we're sort of 9 minutes into this game now. That first herald has been secured, and I think that's going to be the thing that tips the tides in either way. 300 gold, the disparity right now really not worth writing home about on any matchup either side. Despite the fact that we see Selfmade get solo killed in the top lane, he's actually still ahead in farm, so not doing too badly despite the issue that he ran into earlier on. And that Rift Herald, like I say, likely to be that first real talking point of the game, where we get to see Skeens put the control, put the priority, really does open up for the opportunities to Vitality. I really want to see them use it in the bot lane, honestly, because there's not too much, so that there's always this question mark about whether or not you'll be able to get Selfmade as a really strong carry coming in, obviously, as this filled role, and then Swain in the mid lane as well, sort of does everything regardless. I feel like you can control yourself and get some fairly decent advantages through your own right, but this bot lane has been a real point for Vitality B that not necessarily struggling, but has received a lot of pressure from Akabane, and it might just be nice to see it reciprocated by Skeens.
Yeah, most certainly. Vitality B may be going to set up for a play here in the mid, but it's so hard to gank any of these lanes, it feels like, if you are Vitality B. Chocolate, so safe here on this Corki. Melanic, as long as he doesn't blow the Arctic Assault, should be fine as well. Inax and Camilius, just, they're chilling. They've got the Ezreal Yuumi, so it sort of feels like right now the game just has slowed down so much. Gamward and Vitality B both just going to be scaling up and probably looking towards these team fights in about 5 minutes. Now, Dragon spawning at 35, so potentially a fight could come down for that. Are you expecting both these teams to posture around it?
No, I feel like the first two Drakes we never see teams fight for. This Rift Herald is probably going to be enough to just secure control into the river, and then if it's just a couple of plates given over, then be that as it may, they've got control over the mid lane since Chocolate and Akabane need to spend their time clearing out the Herald. But I think their timing on that maybe just like 10 seconds too early, honestly, because we're now going to get that point where Skeens has got to either shadow Diplex clearing this wave mid lane, or basically Game Ward have got completely first move through the mid lane itself. Akabane has showed his face up on this top side, or not actually showing his face just yet, but will be soon enough. And this is a nice trade for them. They're going to give up a dragon, but they may well get a dive onto Selfmade.
And you are diving a Renekton, and it's going to be the Dominus pop. Really nice slice of dice to get away, but Selfmade taking so much damage to heal. Is it enough? No. The Ignite is ticking, and he actually survives. Akabane going to try to follow up with the flash. Soon. Find the Q, find the slow, find the kill, and Selfmade ultimately gets taken down in that
They
play.
trade on the bot side, though. Look at where we've got Skeens on the map right now. Potentially going to look for a dive. Diplex 2 moving his way from the mid lane, pushed into the bot lane. TP for Melanic is available, so this is a very scary dive if they go for it.
Yeah, but the TP right there, as you pointed out, Melanic gets the dive on the top side, then covers for his bot lane. Super nicely done from Gamward. Dude, you said it. One of the smartest teams here in the LFL, and a really nice preemptive prevention of that dive.
Yeah, and what they can do now, if they really feel like it, is send Chocolate up to the top lane to catch that top wave, keep Melanic in the mid lane for a wave, and then swap back afterwards. Looks like Melanic has said, no thank you, Chocolate. I appreciate the fact that you're going to be very scary in the late game, but that top wave is mine. And, moves his way back up to that top side to catch what is going to be a fairly beefy boy crashing into his turret.
Don't get me wrong, I don't blame Melanic for wanting this top wave, but that's kind of a juicy wave for your Corki. I'm actually a little surprised they didn't opt for that swap. But, top laners, they have to play the island the whole time. I respect wanting the wave.
He just TP'd to the bot lane for nothing. We can give him the big wave. Yeah. Fair enough. If I'm in that... Okay, so the thing I'm going to say is, if that's me in that position, I want that wave as well. But me, as a person who's looking at the game holistically, you give that wave to Corki.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like that's usually how it goes. Good guy Melanic, that's his payment for being selfless with the teleport. But it is just going to be Vitality B looking to continue to control this mid wave. Lots of attention from Skeens, it feels like, has been paid just to help push up these waves and help this win get priority into this Corki.
Yeah, they've been using it really well also. Forced the teleport from Melanic. They got a double kill in the bot lane and got the TP from Chocolate. Because they're forcing these roams and giving Diplex Prio to move around the map very frequently, they can set up for this, and it does come from Skeens, just shadowing in the mid lane, allowing Swain to move out on the map first of all, before getting to, any scary places without numbers. Could well see a 3v3 on this top side, though. Akabane clearing his Krugs while Melonic's getting all in top.
And Melodic is getting all in. Remember, a lot of tankiness on this Sejuani. Has the Frozen Heart completed, but it's not going to be enough. The kill does go through. Vitality B just a little bit faster on the rotation. They're able to find one. Now Akabani getting jumped on. They both have ultimates available. The final chapter finds the root. Jack Troll taking up the tower, gets taken down. But the volley bear is gone as well, leaving the poor Yuumi to get dropped. It's going to be a 3-for-1 in the top side in favor of Vitality.
Very worthwhile. Vitality B just a little bit faster to the play. Now check a lot with package. Needs to be careful. Not the easiest thing to jump in on is a Renekton and Viego 2 versus 1.
Going into melee range of those champions generally ill-advised.
You know what? You are correct. There's no other way of arguing that. Simply acknowledging the correctness and carrying on.
I could be big brain too, rude dude.
Yeah, I know. And you've just proven it right there. And the big brain nature as well. Coming from the fact that you predicted Vitality B to take. Did you predict? I predicted Vitality B.
I predicted Gamward. You predicted Gamward.
Oh, never mind.
We both forgot our predictions.
Well, never mind. I'm the big brain then. I take it back. You're a small brain that can only say diving, Renekton, no good. Smile. I'm sorry. I'm flaming you for no reason. This is your first day. Welcome.
It's okay. I'm
it's some
more than happy
roughhousing
to
for
play
the rookie.
the dumb American character, so it's all good. But someone didn't listen to the school of don't get in melee range of Renekton, but who's ganking who is Akabani going to find the kill most likely. No ulti, no problem. Tanks up 1, tanks up 2 more, and walks away.
Yeah. Easily done, I guess. That was about as good as it tends to get for a volley bear dive. Didn't even have the ult to turn off the turret, but lives and gets away with another kill on the board. So kudos once again to the Game Ward staff, to the players as well, making sure all of these dives are going sufficiently for them. As Inax now clearing out this bot wave, needs to be careful that Diplex doesn't come in and ruin his holiday.
Diplex is on the hunt right now with that ghost, spellbook ghost, of course, but Akabani is very low, and we'll have to reset ahead of this dragon. Another thing worth noting is we saw Chekolad come up to that top side with the package. So that's not available now for this dragon. So lots of major cooldowns for Gamward not online, as Vitality B, they're able to use the second herald to knock down that mid tower that they started their work on earlier.
And this has been maybe the closest game that we've had so far, 16 minutes in. Normally at this point we've seen a lead start to be blown
one major
open.
Team fight, but so far
there's not really been any of that. It's been these little picks, little skirmishes where one team just handily comes out on top, but the thing is that they've been traded back and forth, so neither team particularly abundantly ahead right now, and we'll have to see whether or not the scaling aspects of either side can start to come through. And to touch on those quickly, while we've got maybe 10-20 seconds or so, whenever there's a team with a Twitch on it, I tend to have, the element of, oh, they scale very well. But you're up against a Corki and an Ezreal who tend to, by and large, be able to offset that a lot, quite frequently.
Yeah, for sure. And we mentioned in the draft as well, the difficulty that Swain will have getting onto this backline of Game Ward. So that's another thing that we want to keep our eyes on is the amount of impact that Diplex is going to be able to have. I feel like Diplex has been good with the mid priority, you pointed that out earlier, but haven't been any major plays from the Swain. I mean, more than anything, it feels like Skeens has really just been the one roaming around and doing various things for this team.
Yeah, and just making his presence felt, really, more so than anything else. You can see that he's doing a better job at farming as well. On the Viego 3-0-2, along with the 20 CS lead over Akabana, he's a level up as well. Onyx sort of playing a little bit of game of chicken, sort of baiting this minion wave instead, also than anything else, seeing if anybody came up to it. They don't. He's going to go in, collect on a Demolish proc, collect on a dead turret. May well have overstayed his mark. A nice control ward there, excuse me, and the Tri-Brush is enough to get him out to safety.
Yeah, Melodic doesn't bait himself, ends up getting away. And everyone just goes back to farming. I mean, we talked about first 2 dragons, oftentimes not the ones that people fight for. Try third one as well. Vitality B. They did pick that one up for free, and yeah, Diplex is behind enemy lines. And by behind enemy lines, that is behind a Yuumi, a Volibear, and an Ezreal that are all in range to rotate here. I mean,
if he goes for this, he's crazy.
Yeah.
But the team are coming. Look at this. Jack Troll and Jessica on the minimap. They're moving their way up. Diplex is playing a very long game right now.
Inox gets rooted up, gets the Ezreal, the Arcane Shift, excuse me, away, and now the final chapter going to go through. Diplex now rooted, and this is it. The Swain getting kited, but can Jack Troll find the bandage toss? Yes, he does. Curse of the Sad Mummy manages to catch up Camilius as well, so he ends up dropping. It's going to be a 2-for-0.
Beautiful play on the top side for Vitality. The long haul from Diplex. Melonic has TP'd in here. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be to his own demise. Mid lane is going to be Checolad taking a turret, but this is going to be Vitality B with a big win on the top side.
Yeah, Melonic tries to do the good guy selfless TP again, but he's going to pay the price. It lives for so long, but does end up getting taken down. Checolad tries to get something back for his team, but Vitality B, it's another successful play on the top side.
Yeah, 3 kills to boot on top of that turret. So the turret's traded 1 for 1. The kills traded 3 for nothing. Very nice little execution on the top side by Vitality B. And again, credit to Diplex, for playing that long haul game. He just was channeling a recall, decided to hold off on it as he's behind the entirety of Game Ward, finds Inax. And the beauty of this Rylai's Crystal Scepter rush for Diplex is, yes, Inax has got cleansed, but he's immediately then getting slowed again just because he's in range of that Swainel. The Demonic Ascension is so brutal at keeping everybody in its own aura that there's no way to get out to safety. Inax bends his flash to dodge out on 1 bandage toss. Amumu, with his rework a few patches ago, has 2 bandage tosses that he stores up. So the second one connects. You land the Curse of the Sad Mummy as well. You root down 2 people on top of that. Ezreal too. The team fight that follows, simply too easy.
Yeah, and Vitality B, they're now starting to get a bit of a gold lead. It's not huge, but after this tower goes down, it should be about 2,000. Well, no, it's going to be trading back and forth, so still only about 1,500. So Game Ward very much in this game. And again, the point you made earlier, Corki Ezreal scaling with the Yuumi will be extremely formidable. So something to keep our eyes on here. Both teams more than comfortable, it feels like, to get up into this team fight. So far, it feels like Vitality B has had the execution necessary in these fights, but they've also been a little bit faster on a lot of the rotations.
It feels like the way that Game Ward are finding these leads are through missteps from Game Ward. When we get to a position in a game where it's a lot more rudimentary, more just straight up basic League of Legends, where, okay, we set up around an objective, we're sitting 5 people on one side of the river, 5 people on the other side. These engages are going to be much harder for Vitality B to come by because Game Ward aren't going to be just completely overextended. Unless, of course, they're, doing things where they opt into a bit of vision that they don't necessarily have or that they're trying to gain and they can get caught out on that. But in a straight up 5v5, that's when our concerns of scaling and of this composition that Game Ward have drafted do come to really scare us.
Right. And it's another thing worth noting, like a lot of these slower games, they're sometimes even harder to play, but yeah, this is a deep TP coming in. The Corki is spotted out by Skeens. Checolad, though, dodges out with that additional movement speed. Jack Troll going to get chunked. Going to get chunked again, but that Amumu, somewhat tanky. He can take it. Remember, Amumu, all he has to do is throw his body in. He doesn't have to live, as everybody's just posturing.
I love that we're just seeing Jessica use his body as a ward right there in the ambush, just making sure that he's got vision of everybody. Clearing out wards, clearing out vision, whatever they're doing. If you're Vitality B right now, would not be surprised to see them just seed this dragon that's spawning. This package from Checolad is certainly something to be fearful of. A reminder, the setup around objectives is something that we expect to see Game Ward thrive around because they've got the Corki, they've got the Ezreal to really lay down that poke. And I love this from Vitality B. If you can't get the dragon, what can you get on the other side of the map? They commit 3 members up to this top side and say, instead of getting the dragon, we'll split 600 gold between us. Yeah,
indeed, very nicely done from Vitality B. And I feel like we haven't really said his name that much this game, but Checolad is casually extremely fed on this Corki. He's farming like 11 CS per minute. That's absolutely unreal, already having 2.5 items. The spike is well and truly here, and it has been for a long time.
The 110 hyperfed Corki, wow! Yeah, you make a great point. It is the farm, and this is why people talk about CS numbers and why they're so important. Because if this Corki has 50 less farm, he probably doesn't have that Caulfield's Warhammer, doesn't maybe have the tier 2 boots completed. That's a lot of gold that is just picked up by the nature of constantly picking up farm, constantly picking up CS. If you're farming 11 creeps per minute in the game, you're going to get these nice leads. You're going to generate these advantages. Now, of course, Vitality B are probably, about even, and in that mid lane, the sort of item disparities are about the same, with Stopwatch coming through, some nice ability haste from the Codex as well, because they've got a load of kills and a load of assists on top of that for Diplex. But it's still worth noting, Checolad, a little bit of an XP gap as well, ticking over toward that 16 quite nicely. This is a world where Game Ward opts that Baron, but they decide that that's not the case. They're not going to go for it. And they're just going to make sure that they've got control over the pit instead.
Yeah, and we have been setting up Checolad as sort of a carry for this team. He's been such an enabler for Game Ward this entire split. And we haven't really seen him have that impact, right? Like, he's extremely fed, but it's about how you use that gold. And that is what we are holding our breath and waiting to see. Remember, we haven't really had a massive team fight, but Jack Troll getting caught out, most likely just going to die, flashes out, tries to get the stun back in. Now Melonic gets turned onto, taking so much damage. Jack Troll follows through one more time. Selfmade in the front line doing the damage, though Sejuani ends up going down. Selfmade still alive. Diplex doing so much damage, slowing everybody up, and at the end of it all, it's 1 for 0. Vitality B managed to get that kill. Now, is there going to be a re-engage? Chekolad fires in the big one, forces the flash from Diplex. Kabani, he wants it, but he knows he can't get in there without dying. Very touch and go team fight. Doesn't result in too much. Game Ward, they're going to retreat towards the Baron, but no, they're not going to start it. Just looking for control.
Yeah, and then you can see Vitality barely scared of this. Checo potentially going to get caught out here.
Yeah, and Akabani completed that base. That's so hard. Chekolad, though, barely able to get away. I was worried Akabani trolled his mid laner, but Chekolad knew what he was doing. It did cost him his flash, though.
Yeah, and Inax there as well, also able to provide the hop rather for Camilius there, because as soon as he got out, it was the same sort of awkward timing as Checo flashed and backed away. So it was like, oh, you've left your Yuumi down the river without a paddle. Unfortunately, there was an ADC there lurking. Potentially may fall, though. Jessica has got Blade of the Ruin King ready. Kraken Slayer too. And if Inax stepped a little too much closer, could very well see Jessica try and find that all in.
Yeah, Jessica has been on the hunt this entire game. It's been basically the story of the game is everybody's looking for these plays, but they're never able to find that game-winning fight. It's just the one kill going over so frequently. And
I say, even the game-tipping fight, right? I don't think that either team is particularly far ahead or behind. It has always just been these knife's edge fights where you feel like either team could take it on a whim, and it just goes to show you quite how close these two teams are. Why we were saying this is going to be the game of the day, the one to watch, because both these two teams really are giving what for in every single instance and showcasing why they're one of the teams that needs to be contending for that playoff bye for one of those automatic promotion or automatic spots into the European Masters.
Truly, and I think of a mark of a great team, right? Good teams can be playmakers. They can set up plays and they can be proactive, but great teams know when to pump the brakes, and both these teams, they've pumped the brakes multiple times. They haven't bitten off too much, at least not to the extent of, again, tipping the game massively in favor. I think this is the largest gold lead we've had so far, and it's barely more than 2,000, and I think that just goes to show that this has been a very competitive game. So much of that gold on Skeens here for Vitality B, having a great game for himself on the other side. We've been hyping it up. Chekolad farmed up so well, about to Flame Horizon his own AD carry, which I feel like is kind of BM in some strange way, and like we're
he's probably not. He's really not far away from Flame Horizon his enemy mid laner, which is like the real statement here. Is, you know, Diplex certainly been playing with the team fairly nicely. The Swain is obviously here as a more facilitatory role to set up for these team fights to be very easy for the likes of Jessica Skeens to make the most of those, make the most of their champions as well. But what we can see is actually what's happening on the map is Game Ward setting up a bit of a bush bait, and I'm surprised not to see Selfmade committing to that bot lane turret right now. We've got a big wave crashing underneath it, but no priority put down on that. They're making sure that the Baron's not going down, and outside of that, it's just a bit of a tussle in the mid lane, a little bit of chicken being played by either side.
And it's not even Soul Root, dude, because both teams have traded dragons, so this won't even tip the game. Now, I do see a bear on top of the Baron. I'm sure he's just clearing wards, but a lot of game ward is around in the area. And yeah, as you say, Selfmade just going to be the lone trooper to solo out that Ocean Dragon. And with how touch and go these fights have been, it feels like the Ocean Soul will be pretty impactful to draw out these fights even more, should that go over to one of these two teams.
Oh, I love these types of games, man. You know, the last three games were all very good in their own right, but this is one of those that we're seeing tension be built. It's not something that we've seen from the games thus far outside of the other three that we've seen, excuse me. This has been a game that is building up to be that one epitome team fight where there could just be a complete 5-for-0 ace, similar to what we saw Chayak do with the Azir last game, or we could continue to see a bit of a 5-for-5 and just everybody dies inside one team fight and nobody gets to win, and we go again 10 seconds later.
Yeah, I mean, there's clearly a lot of different flavors of game here in the LFL. We've got the crazy fiestas, we've got the thought out chess matches, and we're getting them all here today. Game Ward and Vitality B. Vitality B has actually grown their gold lead a little bit in the last few minutes, presumably just off of better wave management, I would assume, to pick up some waves, because now it's up to 3,000. It was 2,000 before, which at this point in the game, not that significant, but even an extra long sword could just be the difference maker when a game is this close.
Exactly, and you know, to talk about what you just sort of alluded to, might not have time. Jessica going to go for this.
Yeah, Jessica going to step forward, but he instantly gets CC'd up. Cleanse out now. Diplex going to try to play frontline for his team in the Sejuani. Melonic cannot stay alive. Gets burned down. Selfmade going to try to dive in. Diplex with the flash and the demonic flare. Akabani forced to kite away. Skeens, though, lands on the chase. He needs the reset. Chocolate doing so much damage. Over the wall he goes, but Jessica takes down Akabani. Game Ward, they don't quite have the damage to kill anyone, and they lose 2. But does Vitality B have the health bars to do Baron? I think the answer is no. Yeah,
they can't do it. Ezreal Corki still alive, still kicking. It's scary to try and head toward that Baron when you've got the poke of Ezreal, of a Corki raining down on you. Yumi's still alive as well to sustain up those carries. So ultimately, it's just 2 kills going over to Vitality B, and the tension continues to mount. It's one of those fights that if there was any other set of champions that were still alive for Game Ward, they probably lose the Baron there. But they had Corki Ezreal, so they're fine.
Oh my word, this game is unbelievably close, but I feel like an interesting story there is Melonic got burned down. This full tank Sejuani looked like paper, and that is definitely something to keep our eyes on. However, Skeens needed to invest the stopwatch to stay alive. Now, I do believe he's building towards the Guardian Angel with that BF sword, as Vitality B is just going to send it on Baron right here. True Shock Barrage will spot them out. This is the most ambitious play I think we've seen so far today, Rude Dude.
Yeah, Melonic spot lane. He's going to TP in. Akabane is here. Control ward over the wall. They know this is going on.
Yeah. Look at Melonic. Has the Glacial Prison already back up and available? Almost everything is here, but so many flashes are down, and Vitality B doesn't want to take the risk. I feel like without Cleanse on Jeskla, the fights become so much harder. We almost saw him get one shot last time around with that Summoner spell available. And now the focus is on Dragon. Remember, no soul has gone down yet. Game Ward, if you get this one, you can potentially protract this game even longer, but Vitality B, if they pick up the Ocean Soul in these long extended fights, it could be the fight that tips the game.
Yeah, it could be that little buff that ticks them over the edge. I want to quickly touch on one of the leading disparities that we've got actually right now. Is actually the 2-level lead between the ADCs. Jeskla actually fairly strong. Jack Troll forced out a little bit right there. Is working toward that Zhonya's as well, so he's going to have a lot of time in that front line to buy for the rest of the team. But yeah, to touch on that again, Jeskla with a 2-level advantage. Every level in for ADCs and for pretty much everybody except Enchanter supports is worth approximately 500 gold in base statistics. And the later these games go, the more those levels tend to mean, the more important that they are. And with Jeskla having a 2-level advantage over Inax, he's going to be dealing a lot of damage that they may not necessarily anticipate, given the way that Inax is, dishing out his relative to it.
Yeah, I love that you bring up that point, because in games that are this close, right, it's those little minute details that can send you over the edge. It really is things like that can tip the scale. So excellent point to be brought up. And Jeskla also having the 3 items, not on the Infinity Edge yet, but I think you got that XP lead, because he seems like he's been farming up quite a bit recently. He was one of the people that was also almost 100 CS behind this Corki. Now sort of has closed the gap somewhat, brought it within 60. Chocolate obviously still by far the most farmed person here, but it seems that Vitality B, as we've gotten into this late game, has focused a lot of that golden experience onto this Twitch.
And what they've done very well is utilize this composition, which has some very good reset properties of it. Skeens and Jeskla, we get a renewed ambush from Jeskla, we get the reset from Skeens to steal away a body if they can focus down that first member. That's what they've done so incredibly well. They don't need to go for Jack Troll. Look at this flank.
Yeah, he is spotted, so Game Ward knows what's going on, but a super clean Glacial Prison. I like that investment from Melonic.
They're soloing the Drake right now, though.
The fight. Yeah. Okay, Game Ward, they're going to deny the soul, so Dragon does not go over, and I don't think you can start Baron right now. You did get a major ultimate cooldown, but Vitality B just going to walk away again, clear out a couple wards, and everybody's going to go back to staring at each other.
Very impressive for Game Ward right there. They're quite happy to use package and the Glacial Prison to just stop the Dragon from going away, stopping the soul going over. Jeskla ambushed. Skeens on a flank.
Skeens. Now Skeens, look at him. The engage goes in, though, on the front line. Akabani can't get over the wall. That's huge. The jungler now dead. Melonic going to drop as well. That front line is paper thin. The 2 carries, though, they're still alive. It's the same situation that we have seen before, Rude Dude. The 2 carries and the Yumi survive. True shot doesn't get the kill.
Oh, my word. Oh, my. This is a deja vu, right? You get these 2 picks against...
same scenario.
You get these 2 picks when there's, like I say, 2 any other champions on the board. They can go for the Baron. I think they're going to go for it anyway. These TPs tell me they're going to try and rush toward that Baron with renewed health bars, reinvested resources in their team. Checo wants to try and farm that bot wave. He knows he's not going to get the chance because the rest of Vitality B are making their way toward the Baron. You've got a couple Mystic shots to fire over. Wards are available, but they're only temporary because that pink ward is in there. No smite close. Akabane beelining it from the top side of his base, but I think this Baron is going to be gone.
Yeah, Vitality B, they decide to force the issue. The death timer is so much longer this time around than they were last time. So they're able, on the respawns, to TP out, get the Baron. Super nicely done from Vitality B. That is the first major advantage it feels like we've seen. 6,500 gold in the lead is Vitality. Maybe they can use this Baron to at least break the vase, force Game Ward back, and maybe play for that soul to finally put them over. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is maybe one of the games where gold is actually just the most misleading stat that we could look at here, because all that matters is whether Checo and Inax stay alive, right?
Yeah.
In these team fights, if they're still alive, it really hampers what Vitality B can do in terms of accelerating the rest of the game. They've got the Baron now, so that's going to give them the biggest, best buff that there is in terms of trying to siege. Of course, you know, not necessarily for the combat, but you can tell that their push capabilities are going to be now much better. Whether or not they can break open that base is going to be something that certainly becomes apparent within the next couple of minutes or so. They're going to go for the engage, though.
Yeah, Akabane going with the Turbo Chem tank, trying to find it, but Selfmade just able to slice and dice away. Interestingly, Vitality B not opting to go for that easy tier 2 down on the bottom side. They're instead prioritizing these inhibitor turrets, and they should be able to get one. Jessica doing so much damage, at least chunking it very, very low. And that's what Vitality wants to do. Pull them around the map, but Akabane's in on a Jack Troll. The Zonia's come through, though, and that's going to be the first reset for the Viego. Now second Melodic, he's in the front line, but he's not tanky enough. I've seen this before. 3rd time's the charm, but this time they get the Ezreal. Ezreal is dead. Checolad's going to follow suit. And Vitality B, they found the fight. They found the ace, and they're going to win game number 4.
Oh, it started with Diplex with that flank in the top lane about 20 minutes ago. It ends with him finding the pick onto Inax, which breaks open the game. Diplex's roots take him into the win. Take Vitality B into a level score. 10-4 for both of the teams now. Vitality B cement themselves in a top 3 position.
It's a day of upsets or near upsets, Rude Dude. Every single one.